When your son or daughter comes up to you and asks, "Dad, what was the greatest football match you've ever seen?" what are you going to say? Well, I know what I'm going to say.
The day of glory has indeed arrived. And Messi, perhaps his moments for infinity. Mbappe, Thuram, Mbappe, oh wow!
For me, there is only one way to describe the 2022 World Cup final: magic. But that's because it's a lot more than what happened in that match that made it so magical.
But to fully understand why, we have to rewind 19 years to 2004. Messi has always been one of the best players in the world. Even before he stepped on the pitch for Barcelona, fans and pundits knew his name from all over the world.
Prime Ronaldinho bragged that 17-year-old Messi was already the best to ever do it, to none other than Kobe Bryant, one of the best basketball players of all time. And for the next decade and a half, you would have a hard time arguing against what Ronaldinho said. That is, for everyone except many Argentinian fans. From 2004 to 2020, Messi won 10 La Liga titles, 4 Champions League trophies, and grabbed a record 6 Ballon d'Ors. But he did not win a single title with the Argentinian national team. All that brilliance and all that magic, and in the eyes of many Argentinians, he could only do it for his club and not for his country. Despite being paramount for the Argentina national team in 3 straight finals runs for the 2014 World Cup and the 2015 and 2016 Copa America, the team, including Messi, could just not do it when it mattered the most. So Messi was never ever going to be better than Maradona to many of them. His World Cup woes were haunting him. And if that didn't change, a good argument against why Lionel Messi is not the greatest footballer of all time would always exist. And that 2014 World Cup was his first real chance to change that. Everyone expected it to go to either Brazil or Argentina, because every other South American World Cup that had ever happened had been won by a South American. So after being gifted with probably one of the easiest groups in the competition, you would think it would be a walk in the park for Messi and the boys. But it was far from that. Though they walked out of the group with 3 wins in 3, they wouldn't have a single decisive victory, scraping by in each match by only 1 goal. As they continued throughout the tournament, they fumbled through each knockout stage match with wins by just 1 goal. That is, until their semi-final matchup against the Netherlands. Though the Dutch squad were far from favorites, anyone who knew football knew this was a fair matchup. And yet again, Argentina failed to score. But they were saved by a few miraculous tackles by Mascherano, and they were fortunate to get past them on pens. But the lingering issues remained, and the team with possibly the most attacking talent in the entire tournament could not score. And with Brazil going out to Germany in their respective semi-final, it was up to the Argentinians to continue that South American legacy. But they wouldn't do it. Despite the quality on the defensive side of the ball and the star-studded forward line, they just lacked something that would have helped them put the ball in the back of the net. Now, Messi didn't necessarily play poorly. In fact, he was one of the best players in every single one of their matches, but he just couldn't convert in the moments where they needed him most. And none of that changed in the 2018 World Cup. With their aging squad, they had now dropped from being the second favorite squad in the 2014 World Cup to being 5th favorites in 2015. And if you were watching football at the time, you knew that even that was optimistic. After being gifted another fairly simple group, this time they barely escaped, getting pounded by Croatia, drawing with Iceland, and leaving it till the 86th minute of their final matchup against Nigeria to ensure qualification to the round of 16. But having finished second, they would be matched up against a top finishing side, and that just so happened to be quite possibly the most talented team in the entire tournament: France. From the jump of that match, Argentina made it competitive with some incredible moments of individual talent. But Messi failed to convert himself, and the team with a now aging backline could not compete with Mbappe, Griezmann, and Giroud anywhere on the pitch. Not in the air, not at pace, and not with their press. No matter what the scoreline was throughout that match, you knew that that fragile backline of theirs was going to be undone. They just did not have the mentality to believe that they could fight against any team, and that showed on the pitch.
The run is over now. Argentina are champions of South America.
In 2021, Messi won his first trophy for Argentina, beating Brazil 1-0 thanks to a goal from Angel Di Maria. But to the surprise of many, this didn't really change much for him in the minds of his doubters in Argentina. Sure, being victorious over your bitter rivals on their own turf is substantial, but at the time, Messi didn't really get the credit for it that he needed to change people's minds. However, though this didn't change anything for Messi, this was the first sign that something was brewing inside of the Argentinian national team. The team was working in ways it hadn't for years, moving the ball around with speed and defending like a solid unit while also showing bits of brilliance on the attacking side of the ball. But because Messi wasn't scoring a worldie in every match, it wasn't good enough. His legacy was still tainted, and a month after that Copa America victory, his career would take a turn that could have marked the downfall of that legacy forever.
The Lionel Messi era at Barcelona is over.
Barcelona have confirmed that Lionel Messi will leave the club, and the club has put it down to economic and structural obstacles.
We start with one of the most significant transfers in the history of football. Lionel Messi has tonight signed for Paris Saint-Germain.
At PSG, Messi would no longer be the guy. The crown he had worn since Ronaldinho bestowed upon him the number 10 at Barcelona had been revoked, and Messi was now, at the club and in the eye of many around the world, playing second fiddle to the main man of the next generation of wonder kids, Kylian Mbappe. The man whose team had knocked Messi out of the 2018 World Cup and had dominated world football for the past half decade now forced Messi into the shadows, something that he hadn't really experienced before. He still performed incredibly well and at times looked like the player he was at Barca, but everything pointed to this being his curtain call. The world had been gifted with nearly 2 decades of beautiful football from La Pulga, and now it was time for someone else to take the crown. Or was it? Everything came down to this. His last chance, his last opportunity to leave his mark, to prove himself worthy of the GOAT title to himself, to Argentinians, and to fans around the world. Many people regarded this tournament as the final possibility to remove that asterisk that overshadowed his entire career. But this World Cup could not have gotten off to a worse start than it did.
Saudi Arabia for their first good look at it. Thailand! Look out here. Shot taken. Go! One of the biggest upsets in World Cup history.
Losing this match put Argentina very well on their way to a struggle-filled group stage. Argentina were only able to put up 1 goal on the score sheet against one of the lowest-ranked teams in the tournament, and they couldn't afford to do that any longer. But it seems like Coach Lionel Scaloni would realize that too, because whatever they did, their attacking woes would end after that, scoring at least 2 or more goals in every single one of their matches on their way to the final. But that doesn't mean their struggles ended there.
Sees pass. And he gets it back, Lionel Messi! That is what he does! Lionel Messi reaches out for perfection and grabs it! And it took a deflection, that has gone in! 1 goal can truly change everything.
And the marauding run, just slicing and weaving through the Argentinian defenders.
Good win with that delicate chip since it was there. And Paul, and it's Martinez who makes the save. Argentina go marching on to the quarterfinals and a meeting with the Netherlands.
This match may have been the most important for Argentina throughout the entire tournament. I don't care that they played in a final, because if it wasn't for what they showed in those 120 minutes on the pitch, this fairy tale story that I'm telling you today would never have been written. Messi played incredibly, Molina looks like prime Dani Alves, and Lisandro Martinez was the best defender on a pitch that held Virgil van Dijk. But the Netherlands squad fought back hard, literally. Despite the game devolving to some classic South American World Cup qualifying mayhem, it was incredibly exciting for viewers and incredibly trying for Argentina. A different Argentina team without that something that had carried them to this stage may have faltered, because the momentum the Netherlands had was undeniable. For the final 30 minutes, Argentina played better than they had for the entire rest of the tournament, because they knew what they were fighting for, and despite not being able to put a ball in the back of the net in extra time, they had a little extra something, a little extra Mamba mentality carrying them through penalties that the Netherlands did not. They knew they were going to win, and no scripted game or paid-off referees could have made Virgil van Dijk miss his penalty and Emi Martinez stand on his head. Argentina earned that win with their confidence, and they took that right into their matchup in the semifinals against reigning runners-up Croatia, and pounded them into the ground just as Croatia had done to Argentina the World Cup before. But there was only one problem. The most talented team in the world stood in their way. And so France were far and away the favorites to win. Everything this little man had ever done, his story could be changed forever, cementing himself up there alongside Pelé and Maradona as having achieved everything possible in football. In this match, Messi could finally complete the beautiful game, but it didn't always look like that was going to happen.
Angel Di Maria, glorious goal! Argentine goal! just might. Oh, wow! He is an awesome force of nature. The little magic man from right on the line. An embrace of disbelief. Was it written? Can it be? Into the galaxy of greats. And France alive again.
The thrill and magic of this game would not come down to the next few penalties or Emi Martinez's save in the final minutes, but instead to the legacy of Lionel Messi that changed the way that people felt about this match forever. The game itself would have been brilliant with or without Messi, but the emotion and the excitement this created in people would never have transpired without him. And that, son, is why I believe that is the greatest game that has ever been played.
Argentina, champions of the world! Lionel Messi has conquered his final peak. The greatest player of his age finally has the greatest accolade football can afford him.